I was handing y'all your boy Rico from Street Scores, and I know I'm a little late, but I still had to do it. We got to break down what went down in day 14 of training camp, August 11th, as in Thursday. Most notable things, Sam Howell's deep bomb. I'm pretty sure y'all have seen it. If you haven't, I put out the training camp clips and highlights and pressers and interviews and things like that. Make sure you go check out that video if you haven't seen Sam Howell's bomb to Marken Michel. But we got to talk about both Sam Howell. We got to talk about, is Marken Michel possibly making the team with all of the plays he's been making? He may be leading the team in touchdowns this offseason, at least top 5. Doesn't matter if it's Sam Howell or Carson Wentz. It's crazy. And of course, with every Rico report, I got to give y'all a big injury update, and this one's a pretty big one because it also implicates who's going to play this Saturday against the Carolina Panthers at 1 p.m. for the first preseason game of the 2022 season. So I'm gonna give y'all as many injury updates that I have information on, and then y'all also already know, man, every time we do a training camp day breakdown, we break down every position group. At least if I have something notable for each position group, we start with the quarterbacks and work our way down the offense, and then we start with the defensive line and work our way down the defense, and then we also talk about special teams, and we actually have quite a bit of special teams to talk about today, so I'm really excited about that. And before we dive into all of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification immediately, and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, make sure you pull up every Friday, including today. Well, it's 1 a.m. for me, so it is technically today, where we talk about literally everything funny that's going on in sports. AB, DeJounte Murray versus Paolo Banchero, anything, even if it's outside of sports, we're just here to laugh and be informative. Also, make sure you pull up to every Sunday call-in show, every live stream where y'all call in, you voice your opinions, you rant about the Commanders, positive and negative, and also ask whatever questions you may have. And it will be after the Panthers preseason game, which I'm also live streaming during. So make sure y'all pull up with everything that y'all gotta say on Sunday as well. And without further ado, let's get it. All right, so first of all, it was a lighter day today. Well, yesterday, August 11th, Thursday, and there were also no fans allowed. I guess because we're getting closer to a preseason game. And then let's go ahead and get to the injuries. First of all, as far as guys on the bikes on the side, we had Tress Way Joey, who's ramping up. We had Logan Thomas on PUP list, Tyler Larson on PUP list, John Bates, who's been fully participating, and Cole Turner, who's recently been out of practice with a hamstring injury. Also, JD McKissic finally returned today, our electric third down back. He missed 2 practices, so I'm glad to have him back, and he will be available for this upcoming preseason game. But Cole Turner, again, still with his hamstring injury, sidelined. John Bates sat out of practice on August 11th, day 14, Thursday, but he should be playing against the Panthers, which leaves us to 4 available tight ends out of the entire roster, which is kind of crazy. You have Sam Reyes, who's probably tight end 1 right now. Then you also have Hodges and Armani Rodgers, who are both making plays and making the most out of the opportunities that they have. And then you also have Georgia Bulldog tight end Eli Wolf, but I mean, I'm not too high on him, honestly, so I definitely don't think he's making the team. I think he's more so just a camp body so we can have somebody out there. But Hodges and Armani Rodgers have been getting a lot of reps with the ones, and again, they're making the most of it, and that makes me super excited. Y'all know I'm a big Armani Rodgers truther. I also really like Hodges, and I'm also a big Sam Reyes fan, but I really can see Armani Rodgers eventually becoming a Darren Waller type of guy, and he's been showing a couple of flashes so far. I'm not gonna lie, he's put together some really good practices with the injuries ahead of him. And then Wes Schweitzer at one point hurt his ankle during practice, sat out for a little while, then he came right back in, so no worries, he'll be out there against the Panthers. Also, Curtis Samuel participating in practice and will definitely go against the Panthers. Same thing with Benjamin St-Juste. He missed practice, I believe, yesterday, as in Wednesday, August 10th, day 13 of practice, but he's good to go. And then Tress Way Joey, even though he's been ramping up and actually starting to do team drills, he will not play against the Panthers. But remember, I have an entire video breaking down who's playing and for how long, so make sure you go check out that video as well. I don't want to dive into too much of that right now, but I do want to update y'all on injuries and also mention who's playing and who's not while we're there. But in that video, I'm breaking it all the way down, how long each quarterback should be playing, Carson Wentz, Taylor Heinicke, Sam Howell, all of that. And then also, sticking with the offensive line, like I talked about in that video as well, Offensive tackle Cornelius Lucas, we finally have like an official specific update. It's a non-football related illness that he's dealing with, and he's been working on the side field. It's been light work, but they have been ramping him up slowly. So there's definitely progress, and Ron Rivera said that he hopes to have him on the field shortly. Who knows what shortly means, but hopefully it's as soon as possible, because we need our backup swing tackle, especially with all the injuries that's going down. Now granted, our starting left and right tackles aren't hurt, but I still want to see Cornelius Lucas out there with the second team, and sadly we won't be able to see that against the Panthers. Then moving on to the quarterbacks, and Carson Wentz had another really good day. He's been great this week. Like I talked about in that video where I break down who's going to be available and who's going to play and for how long against the Panthers, like I just mentioned, I talked about how literally this week has been Carson Wentz's best week, and it's really not even close. And you can argue, if you were to rank every day of training camp in order of how great Carson Wentz was that day, literally the top 4 days would all come from this week. And then it's a debate from there which one's 1, 2, 3, and 4. But literally all of his best days in training camp so far all came this week. And it's crazy because that's right after the Saturday night practice where he was extremely inconsistent. I mean, missing guys wide open. But then you also had some of the Carson Wentz where he was throwing deep bombs that only maybe like 5 other quarterbacks in the NFL can throw, to Terry McLaurin and Marken Michel deep down the field, and a really good throw to Curtis Samuel in the back of the end zone with Benjamin St-Juste in coverage. It was just the Carson Wentz experience, but now we're starting to see some chemistry, starting to see some consistency, which is really important. And I talk about why that's so important in my breakdown of who's going to play against the Panthers. And most notably, very specifically, his chemistry with Terry McLaurin has definitely grown a lot this week as well. They looked completely off page that Saturday night practice again, except for that one deep bomb to end the practice. But now he's consistently finding Terry short, intermediate, and long range. So I'm really happy to hear that. And I've just been hearing that he looks comfortable. He's accurate. He's making the right decisions. He has some really good throws to Jahan Dotson, Dax Milne, and Dyami Brown, and also has some good throws to JD McKissic as well. And then lastly, before we leave the quarterbacks, I know y'all saw that Sam Howell deep bomb. But on the negative side, before we dive into that deep bomb, he did have a tip pass, which led to a Derek Forrest nice one-handed interception. But opposite of that, he had that crazy deep bomb that I'm sure all of y'all have already seen. And that's ridiculous, man. Marken Michel has been making play after play after play. He just looks like we gotta find a way to get him to make this team, because some other team is gonna need a guy like him, and definitely gonna pick him up off our practice squad at this point. But the reason I'm really here is the fact that Sam Howell looks really good. I keep talking about it in a lot of videos. I keep talking about how I keep talking about it, but I'm gonna say it again. Sam Howell is way further ahead in his development than I expected, than Ron Rivera expected, than Scott Turner expected, Ken Zampese. Everybody is surprised by how ahead he is in his development. Even a lot of Sam Howell truthers that believed in him even more than I did coming out of the draft. He's way further ahead in his ability to read the field and go through progressions. He's already going through like 3 progressions and hitting the right receiver at the right time. He's more accurate than I expected at this point. It's ridiculous, man. I can't wait to see him in this preseason game. And then moving on to the running backs, nothing really going on there, so going straight to the wide receivers. Again, you had Jahan Dotson, Dax Milne, Dyami Brown making plays today, and Dax Milne's names just keeps coming up every day. If it's a one-handed catch or if it's just a consistent normal day where he's just making a couple of normal catches, either way it's been consistent and explosive. One-handed catches beat Benjamin St-Juste really bad in one-on-ones sometime last week. Man, he literally might be right behind Dyami Brown on the depth chart ahead of Cam Sims. It's crazy right now. That man is balling. And then also, Curtis Samuel had that really nice one-handed catch in individuals and laid his body out to get it, fell on the ground, and got right back up like nothing happened. I'm starting to become more and more optimistic about Curtis Samuel's health situation, but we'll see. The first true test will be against the Panthers in this preseason game, which he's going to start for. Again, I break all of that down in that video I keep mentioning. And then the man of the hour, Marken Michel, had one really good catch on a deep route down the sideline from Sam Howell. It's been ridiculous. And Marken Michel has even started to receive praise from Terry McLaurin and Ron Rivera himself. Ron Rivera said that Marken Michel has been a professional who knows how to prepare. And he's also really interested in seeing what he's going to do with these opportunities in the preseason. So we'll see, man. Marken Michel, like I said, he may actually be leading the receiving group in touchdowns this offseason. It's really ridiculous. And then tight end wise, no real updates other than the fact that, like I already mentioned earlier with the injuries, Hodges and Armani Rodgers have been getting a lot of first team reps with the guys ahead of them on the depth chart being hurt, and they've been making plays, man. Hodges in the passing game, and Hodges also improving as a blocker, which is really big. And then Armani Rodgers, again, my favorite, has been making play after play in practices. I mean, he's had acrobatic catches that you can probably only count on one hand of all of the guys that can make those catches on this entire team, receiver, running back, tight end, whoever. He looks special. So I really hope we find a way to keep him on the team, but we'll see. Nothing very significant from the offensive line other than the injury updates I already gave you. And then defensive line wise, nothing really notable other than the fact that Montez Sweat was out here running routes and like catching passes in practice. I don't know why they were doing that drill, but he definitely looked better than you'd expect a defensive end to look. But then again, he is a freak athlete. He's from Georgia. This is what we do. And then defensive back wise, nothing very notable today. Again, it was a really light day. That's why it's not really much to note. But Derek Forrest had that one really nice one-handed interception. It was beautiful. It was off a tip pass from Sam Howell, like I mentioned earlier. And no, also, just off of the top of my head, leaving my notes behind, I don't know if y'all have seen the highlights of our DBs practicing some catching drills, but Kamren Curl looked like he probably has some of the best hands on our team. He probably has top 5 hands on our team with the catch that he made. If you don't believe me, look at this clip right here, man. I mean, that's ridiculous, but he was a receiver at some point in his life, so it makes a lot of sense. But golly, man, maybe 4 of the guys on this team can make a catch like that, maybe. And this explains why when Kendall Fuller couldn't catch an interception that would hit his chest, Jamin Davis the same, Kamren Curl can make the diving ones. And then, again, I'm really happy to hear that Derek Forrest is making one-handed interception catches, because we're going to need to catch these interceptions. The ones where we get the perfect opportunity to hit their chest, or they're right there, they make all of the right decisions, they break on the ball, they do literally everything right, but then drop the interception. Those hurt, man. I'm superstitious in the way that it always seems like when a team drops an interception, especially late in a game, it always seems like that team loses, man. It's crazy. It's consistent. It's not even just the Commanders. It's just the NFL, period. It's like literally undefeated. You drop an interception in the last 2 minutes of the game, you're literally gonna lose. It's crazy. And then special teams wise, again, I break this down in further detail in my video where I'm talking about who's going to play and for how long against the Panthers. But just to update y'all in this video, because this happened today in practice, it's been reported from several sources that the punt returner battle is basically down to Dax Milne and Alex Erickson, and that's it. Alex Erickson is the better punt returner in my opinion, definitely the more experienced at the very least, but Dax Milne is the far safer bet to make the roster because, again, he's probably even ahead of Cam Sims on the depth chart. Alex Erickson is literally only going to make the team as a returner. Dax Milne can be a returner and a receiver, but at this point, with Alex Erickson being the primary punt returner and kick returner, according to the Commanders depth chart that they put out, it sounds like both of these guys will more than likely make the team. And then some nice interviews from Tress Way and Joey Slye, and I just want to point out some really interesting parts of it. First of all, like I spoke about in the previous video when Ron Rivera spoke about it, today Joey Slye spoke about it, and he said that he's basically gone from thinking that he hopes that he makes a kick in his first years with Carolina to now he feels like he will definitely make it now. And it's a big difference because now when he misses left or right, he knows why. He can kind of feel it as soon as he does it, kind of like when you're shooting. Like when you're playing basketball, you hooping pickup game, you can tell that you're going to miss it before you miss it the majority of the time. At least if you hoop for real. He said before he used to just try to guess and didn't even know exactly what to improve on and what to fix because he didn't exactly know what he was doing wrong. But now he's so confident in himself, he's so experienced that he knows when he misses it, he's like, oh, okay, I just got to tweak this right here and then I shouldn't miss it anymore, type of thing. So that's really good to hear. Also, I like the fact that Joey Slye pointed out that FedEx Field is one of the harshest places to make field goal kicks. I thought that was really interesting. I didn't know that until he said that today. He said that's not even just his opinion. That's the opinion of specialists all around the league, that it's really hard to make kicks in FedEx Field. So the fact that he gets to practice there constantly, if he can kick it there, he can kick it anywhere. And then when other teams come to play home games, it will be a breeze for him, but the opposing team's kickers will probably struggle if they're not used to similar conditions to what you got to deal with the wind at FedEx Field and stuff like that. Also, Tress Way, again, spoke at the podium as well. He said that he's taken pages from several playbooks of fellow NFL punters to create variety in his punts, and I appreciate it. Watch that film. all you can do is improve, take what you got to take from every person, and just create the best punter of all time just by combining everybody's skill sets and advantages. Also, he says he does not give out other secrets to punters. He basically said, in my own words, get it out the mud. But he said, quote, if they want to figure it out, they can watch film like I did and try to steal some stuff like I did, unquote. And it was funny too, because he also said that at the Pro Bowl following the 19th season, Way signed punter Brett Kern's jersey and said, quote, hey Brett, thanks for your drop. I stole it and made the Pro Bowl, unquote. And I think that's really funny. Also, Tress Way said that in 2018, former special teams coach Ben Kotwicka looked at him, quote, dead in the eye and said your production does not match your talent. You have to find a way to get to the next level, unquote. And Tress Way said that basically made him very angry and he internalized it and used it as a challenge to get better. So shouts out to that special teams coordinator for motivating Tress Way to become who he is today. And then lastly, in very random news, Rivera was asked about bringing Kerrigan on as a pass rush specialist coach at some point. And Rivera said that they're still trying to figure it out. And it's also on Ryan Kerrigan's side. Does he actually want to do it full time and everything? So it's both sides still trying to play it out. Ryan Kerrigan's going to be around the team until he decides that he wants to be that guy or until he decides that he doesn't. But Ron Rivera didn't completely shut it down and say, nah, that's not a possibility. He said they're just still working on it on both sides. But he did say that, quote, both Sweat and Chase gravitate to him. I think it's been good to have him around and be around our guys, unquote. I've noticed that Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen hang out around Warren Sapp the most and probably talk to him the most, which makes sense, defensive tackle. And the same thing with Chase Young and Montez Sweat. They talk to Ryan Kerrigan the most. And remember, Montez Sweat and Chase Young had their best season when Ryan Kerrigan was still on the team. And I don't think that's a coincidence, honestly. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything that went down in day 14 of practice, August 11th. Thursday. Again, it's technically coming out on Friday, August 12th, but I've just been working on so much content, so I'm sorry. I'm just now recording this. It's currently 1:59 a.m. Eastern time, so I'm gonna try to get this out there as soon as possible, and then I gotta hurry up and go to sleep so I can work on some more content for y'all tomorrow. But again, I apologize for this video coming out so late, and man, as always, please leave a like on this video if you liked it, if you learned anything, and as always, I appreciate all of the support, man. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors, name you see scrolling on the screen right now. Catch y'all later. I'm out.